Okay, I'm back, and I'm not finished with this dollar bill. Okay, there's more information in this bill, more hidden stuff in here than there's more hidden stuff in there you can shake a stick at. I don't know. Caveat is I can't go into every little detail. Okay, um, there's just too much to do. If you haven't seen the previous videos on this, might be a good idea to go back, go watch them first, because you're not going to know what I'm talking about here in some of these places, right? So I showed you the dollar bill where the shield comes over here on here, and we get the 9/11 date here, right? 254, the 254th day of the year. Okay, is right here, and we know that it's referring to 9/11 because the way this folds over, we've got a bunch of references to November dates in here, and the one date that happens to be missing is 9/11, which is right here, but referenced with September the 11th. Right. With that being said, let me go to, there was a couple of things that were bothering me, and this, what we're going to do is we're going to explore this number over here today, okay, and this number right here, between right here, this 551 here, and we're going to explore this 231 or 213 right here. So there's your, if you don't watch the rest of the video, you can go figure this out for yourself now. But it gets even more interesting than this, so hang on a second before you go anywhere. Now we've got, let me show you, there was a couple of things that were bugging me, right? The first thing that was bugging me was there's another fold here, and I hadn't done the fold, but I knew there was a fold there, and what I was doing was folding this across here, and then I was focusing in on right here and right here, instead of right here. Now, when we focus in on right here, well, you've already seen the thumbnail, so you already know where I'm going with this. We get, we don't want this, hang on a minute. We get this, right? And this looks a lot like a dam with water flowing over it. You know, this is the dam here, and right here, and then this is water flowing over the dam. Yeah, and we've even got the Pat Tillman Bridge in here. You know what I'm going to say next. This looks like the Hoover Dam to me, with the Pat Tillman Bridge right here. Okay. Now there's another little reference thing here, which is these three letters that fall underneath here, which is DOL, the doll. You know, the doll that we fall in love with as a child, the toy doll, the Toy Story. And actually it's turned into Troy Story now with Odysseus. So, you know, there's some little play on word stuff there. But the doll, you know, it's not real. It's a fake. You know, whenever something's really dolled up, they look really fake. You know, when you're in the system within the matrix, you're on the doll. You're taking the hand out from the system. You know, so this is definitely a reference, I think. And so I'm like, well, let's go ahead and look at that in the Gematrinator, right? Doll. And we get in it a super interesting set of numbers here. 31, 13, 14, so we've got some pi numbers, and a 50. So that is super interesting. Now, we'll go back to this thing. So, let me show you this other, let's take off now. So this is interesting. We've got that out of the way. That's that other fold. So there's definitely a reference there to folding, right? But I was really focusing on this, because this thing here, I was trying to bend this thing all kinds of different ways when I had it folded there, instead of looking what was right in front of me, you know. Now, the other thing that's been bugging me is this idea that this is like the face on here, face on view, and this is the side view. And it sometimes helps to say that out loud. This is facing you, and this is the side view. So I'm looking at all this other stuff, all funny ways to try and figure out, you know, have I got to turn something 90 degrees or what? Well, yeah, you do. And I'm going to show you what we've got to turn 90 degrees now. So minimize that out of the way now. Because this thing, I finally figured this out. I don't know how this, just something clicked, and I'm like, we got to look at this from 90 degrees. And I kind of started focusing in on this thing. And I want to say I had a moment where I had heard something, about portrait or something. And I'm like, yeah, that's what that is. This is a bloody picture frame. That's exactly what that is there. Look, an old-fashioned picture frame, usually an oval shape, with some kind of scroll work around the outside, elaborate decoration around the outside. It's a picture frame. And so when the penny dropped, I'm like, this is, it's even got the 1 in there. Washington is the first president, number 1. That's why he's on the $1 bill. He is the 1, the Neo. I gotta look. This is the front on view, which I'm looking at now. Now I need the side view. I'm like, of course. Washington is also on the quarter. And so now the pennies are just, they're coming out of like a slot machine right now. They're like dropping, they're like tumbling out like a, like a waterfall. No, they're coming out of the machine, right? I'm like, I gotta look at the quarter. So I'm like, well, and I mean, do we need to go look at a quarter here? Where's the quarter at? Here's the quarter. Here's the quarter. Here's Washington, side on view. It's even going the right way. The thing's pointing this way. So we've even got the side view correct. So I'm like, okay, we've got this. The pennies what are dropping right now is this thing with Back to the Future. The other thing that has been bugging the hell out of me is this 25 minutes late on the clocks, right at the start of Back to the Future. It has been absolutely bugging me. And I'm like, I'm going to, this gives me a reference now to, there's 4 quarters in $1. So I'm going to do some, I'm going to try going 25 days from some of these dates that are in here. Some of these dates that are in my first fold where this thing comes right over here. And well, then I thought, well, I'll do it from the lambda as well, from that lambda date, this thing, this other fold that's in here. Let's go to it. From this one. Oh, come on. From this lambda date, right? So when you look at it, so there's your fold lines there, and you come up and you fold this correctly. You've got this lambda, the Greek letter lambda, which we'll talk about here in a minute. There's some more interesting stuff with that. But needless to say, we now have some other things to look at. So we've got this 1, 5, 5 here with the leaves, and we've got the 2, 1, 3. So let's plug that in. Got the lambda date in. If you remember, lambda is the 11th letter of the alphabet, so it's November, and it's it's got a numerical value of 30, right? And we went through all the relevance with that in that last video. Well, not quite all of it, but we touched on most of it. So I'm like, you know what I need to do? I just need to do some 25s away from this and see where we end up at. So I'm like, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back 25 days and see, what date that gives me. I'm like, lo and behold, it's November the 5th. And what you have to remember about November the 5th is, this is covered in a lot of my other videos, is November the 5th. If you switch calendars, we are back at that balance date of 11/18. Yeah, so if you switch calendars, you come into 11/18, right? Which is, again, interesting because if you go to my chart right here, there's the 11/18 balance point in the middle. Here's your 5/11 here, your 5th of November right here, and we've got to go 25 days and we get to here. Oh no, not 25 days, 13 days, sorry. Here's the 13. We'll go 13 days, switch calendars with this 13 part of the key. What you got to remember is the pi is the 3-1, the 13 or 31. Anyway, so I'm like, this is, you know, this is interesting because we're right at this, we're right here. Okay, now, get rid of that a minute. So then I'm like, well, let's add on 25 days and see where we end up. You know, from that date in the thing. So I'll click to oh, the 25th of December. I'm like, oh my lord. So we're at Christmas now. So that's interesting because we've got Madonna's holiday song. You know, that references Christmas with a Christmas carol going on in the background, and we've also got a holiday going on here with St Andrew's Day. So we've got some holidays being referenced for sure. So I'm like, well, let's add on another 25 days. So let's put 50 on, because that's another 25-day jump from here. If you're following my maths. Where do we end up? January the 19th. 911. Yeah, 911. January the 19th. Unbelievable. I mean, you just get to the point where you're like, man, I can't write this stuff. Let's see where we go if we add on another 25 days. I'll just that tack on. We're at 75 now, right? Tack that on. Where are we at? February the 13th. February the 13th. Hang on a minute. 2, 1, 3. I'm like, holy shish kebabs. What is going on? This can't be this, can it? It can't be. We're at 213. Unbelievable. How do I know that that's the right 213? You know, I mean, am I going the right way? If I go the other way, will I end up somewhere else? And maybe you do. I haven't checked all that. But what I did do is I'm like, well, if this is 9/11 over here, and I'm looking at this, and I actually didn't do it this way around. I actually was like, I wonder how many days are between these two things, and I happened to come up with 155. You know, I stuck in. So we'll put in this date now, this February date, February the 13th, and then I just minused off. I minus that number that's in there, 155. And where do we end up? September the 11th. You just can't write this stuff. I mean, it's just, this is absolutely nuts. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. So I've now gone from here with these two numbers here. Remember, we're actually looking at what we're looking at is really this. So it's a little bit easier to see here. The 155, the 11:30 in the middle, and we've gone from this date here, from the September the 11th date to the February date now. Let me show you something that's interesting about this February date. Because if you watch the last video, here's your November the 5th transference here between calendars to the 18th, to that balance date, right? Well, let's transfer the 13th of February now over to January. And you know, again, we're back to January the 31st. You know, if you didn't watch the last video, saying, well, what's interesting about that? Well, that is the twin date of lambda. Yeah, of the. Let me show you. That is that twin date. Let's go to this is February. Yeah, so this is the 31st of January right here. 334 31. Drop down the year to November. August. Drop down to November the 30th. 334 31. The significance of this day is those are the only 2 days that have got the numbers of pi, the first 3 numbers of pi, just in all of their numbers here. It's not bastardized with a 5 or a 6 or something else in it. This is just the numbers of pi, you know, with the month as well. So that's what's interesting about that day. Now, boy, I don't really know where I want to go from here. Now, I mean, we could go ahead and we could stick another, you know, we could stick another 25 days on there just for shits and giggles and see where that comes out, right? March the 10th. Again, that's 3-1. So again, I don't think that this is the day. I think it's the 13th of February because of that 2 that's up there on the $1 bill. I think that's where we stop. I think that this 155 here is referencing the first event and the second event. And I think the fact that we've had so many references to Guy Fawkes, the fork with the guy, we've had so many references. A lot of those are in my old videos. We've had so many references to Guy Fawkes, especially with V for Vendetta, that I believe it is February the 13th. I believe we're at the right spot there. I believe we've done the 100 pennies to the right point. Okay. Now I'm going to show you some other interesting things to do with all this. Now I'm trying to think what I've missed out. I don't know if I want to do a ton of adding and subtracting right now, but there are some interesting things that we can add, and some interesting numbers we can add and subtract. One of them that springs to mind was, if you looked at all my other videos, if we minus off 143, and the reason why we've minus off 143 is because this is, again, the numbers of pi, and the numbers that go along with this is 222 to make the year. Okay, so that's the corresponding number. But if we just minus off 143, that takes us to the 23rd of September. And you remember that was in that's in that chart here. Yeah, I was saying that this would represent the 23rd. This would be September the 23rd right here. This is the equinox, right? Most years, half the time, this is the equinox. You know, it's either the 22nd or the 23rd. So this is, you know, another balance point in the year. So that's really interesting that we go back to that point there. And there's several other dates that we can get back to, adding and minusing stuff. Let me just look at my little bit of paper here, because I am kind of half prepared. Yeah, there was another date that I wanted to show you. And I mean, I don't know if I want to do a ton of different things in here, but this 88, right? So remember what we've got here. We've got 213, right? So this 88, when we go back, right, click to calculate, we're at the 17th of November. If you remember what the 17th of November was, the 17th of November, right here, 321. It's the countdown date, yeah? So that is, again, really interesting. Let me show you something else that's interesting. Go back to this chart. So this Lucas set of numbers, the middle of the table, the thing that we're looking at balance with, right? 213. February the 13th, right here. Absolutely nuts. It's right here in the start, and then that date that we just referenced with the 88 days back, If you don't know what this table is, you just got to go back and look at other stuff. I can't explain it to you. We've got, when we get to the round 10 here, completion, we're at 123, yeah? And if we carry on to the 12th cycle as well, we've got the 322 again, yeah? Which is the 322. Let's just go to it. Remember the 5th of November, remember the 18th of November, and remember the 322. This is all in old videos of mine as well. But we are back at, here's your 322, we are back at the 18th here of November. So this is why this, this is part of the reason why this number is so important to the elites, because they know what it means. They know, the power of that number is the power of truth, of balance, right? They don't come out and tell you it. Some of them might not even know it themselves, but it's a significant number. So we're at the day after there, balance day, and we're the day before here, 3, 2, 1, the final countdown is. I really don't know whether the event happens on this day or the next day. I don't know. 88 days back. I'm not sure. I think it happens on the 13th. But, of course, Valentine's Day would be a day to remember, wouldn't it? And maybe it happens at midnight between these 2 days. There is another interesting thing that we're going to get onto with this date now. Now, I don't really want to do a ton of birthdays and a ton of other stuff. But again, let me go to Guy Fawkes. Let me re-reference this Guy Fawkes thing because it's so important. Born the 13th, dies on the 31st, and in fact the 31st of January, which we've seen is, it is that, I wish this thing would just click over, it is that, it's the same day, the death of Guy Fawkes, the death of the guy, remember in Bond, with, they're constantly referencing the trident, the fork, and so there's a ton of other stuff to get through on this, so I better just crack on. So that is the code, right? So we've got the quarter code and the dollar code, and it's just absolutely nuts. I'll save the video for doing like if you go 118 days, for instance, you get back to October the 18th, 1018, yeah? Colin Powell's death date, yeah? And I was just watching JL today, and he was talking about, I think it was the 5th of April. And if you go to the 5th of April, which is Colin Powell's birthday, and amongst other people as well, and that racehorse. But if we stick a 314 in, 314 in here, and we calculate, we've gone from December the 24th, which is interesting. We're at Christmas Eve, the eve of Christ being born. So is this going to be the eve, and then Valentine's Day is going to be the day? I don't know. And if you minus that off, we're at the 5th of April. And JL was just going on about it. It's weird the way the world works. And that bloody Medina Spirit horse, born on that day or died on that day? I don't know what the hell. No, it didn't die on that day. It died a couple of days ago. Born on that day. I don't know what else to say. This is the day, right? And it's just absolutely nuts that day is at the start of here. Okay, and then surrounding that day, this is the date, and then surrounding that date is the numbers of pi. 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4. I highlighted those because it just was interesting that they were crossing there. There's some other, there's a ton of other dates you can move around. One final date to cover. Okay, if I go, why I didn't do this? I should have done it. If I go, let's do the other side. Let's do the. Let's put 9/11 in here now. Let's put the numbers for 9/11 in, which is 254, right? And let's calculate that out, and we get to the 25th of October. And why is that date so important? Because it's the blooming opening date of Back to the Future. Not the day that's released, but the day in the film when the film starts. October the 25th. Just, I mean, you just can't write this stuff. I mean, there are a ton of other things, like you put 55 days. Let's do this one as well. 55 days, right? We're at the 9th of April. That is, I think, is Prince Philip's death when he's 99 years old. Ay, ay, ay. And then let's do one more. One more. It's pretty addictive, this. Let's do the 88 again. Did I do the 88? I can't remember what I've even done now. I did backwards 88, didn't I? Let's go forwards 88. May the 12th. May the 12th. Doesn't really mean much, does it? But if you go to birthdays on that day, and I don't know if I've got the dude up. I thought I left him up, to be quite honest. Don't look at all these tabs, because it's going to spoil the rest of the thing. Right here. So I May the 12th. This is the dude that plays the baddie in the No Time to Die, the last James Bond, what I call it. Right, spoiler alert. I just love that we've got No Time and No Time to Die. The title just, oh man. Anyway, we've got this dude, and you know, this guy's just been popping up lately for me. Mr. Robot. There was some comment I saw on what was it? Falcon's Maze, the song. You know, if you go and listen to Falcon's Maze, the song, right? 4 minutes 18 long, and it's a weird old song, electronic, right? And it shows up in David Bowie's Space Oddity, right? And it shows up in, what else does it show up in? It shows up in Black Star as well, and it probably shows up in some other David Bowie stuff as well. But you know, I can't really listen to everything. I just don't have enough time to dissect every single bit of David Bowie music. But it shows up in those two tracks. Very interesting. And of course, it's a reference to war games. So, you know, and of course you've got the maze in The Shining, and that's what we're stuck in right now. You're the little rat running around in the maze. And once you figure it out, like Danny does, you can escape Jack, you know. You can escape those fictional ideas. Yeah. Once you've figured out the maze. But I gotta do a Shining video, but I just haven't had time. Anyway, and I'm gonna get onto some Shining stuff in a minute, because there's one last major reference with this thing. The first thing I want to say is one more thing about February, right? We're going to do the holidays. Hang on a minute. What have I missed off of here? Oh, this portrait thing, right? This is called the unfinished portrait, right? Now, I don't know what to say about it really too much, but what's interesting about it is this is the same image that they use for the dollar bill, I believe. And, yeah, the engraving is on $1 bill. What's interesting about it is we have another 100 reference right here, because the guy, and another 13 reference. The guy that painted this thing used this thing to do copies of it, basically, which he sold for $100 each. He called it his $100 bill, because he painted 130 copies of it. Whether this is made up or whatever, who the hell knows? But it's just interesting. And who's on the $100 bill? Benjamin Franklin. He's in Back to the Future, you know, and it's also referencing this idea of going 100, right? And not just 25. Even though you'd really need to do it, when you're dealing with a quarter, you really need to do a whole one. It needs to be 25, 25, 25, and 25. Anyway. But I just thought it was interesting to throw in there. Because I'll never throw it in another video, I shouldn't think. So we've done this, we've done this, we've done the quarter, we've done all that referencing. February, the month of February, there's a couple of interesting things with February. Number one, February is actually named after, I don't know if it's the devices they used for, I can't remember actually exactly what it said in here, but needless to say, it's to do with purification, right? It's named either after a device they use for purification or something to do with purification, and then they had the goddess come along, I don't know when, sometime around that, you know, they personified it as well. So it's basically to do with purification, and you know, it's just interesting that time of year. You know, there's Lent around that time of year, so people are fasting. It's all to do with purification. Before we're getting ready to start the new year, right? Before we're getting ready to go into spring, we have this purification time. And I don't know if you follow some of these people that talk about the Wu flu, but a lot of them are you know, there's some alternative theories on what the flu really is, and it's, you know, the alternative is that it's a kind of cleansing, you know, and it, you know, one way or the other it is a cleansing, but you're either cleansing your body of that thing or some toxins in your body, one way or the other. It is a cleansing, if you like. So it's interesting we have this kind of, you know, when you get a cold and all this sort of stuff, you know, you've got gunk coming out of your nose and all, you know, and you're coughing and wheezing and all this mess coming out of your face, right? You know, it's your body cleansing, so detoxifying, all that muck coming out. You can look at it that way. I really haven't got a clue what's going on anymore, to tell you the truth, with with the way all this stuff works. Because what most people don't factor in is the whole idea of belief and the whole idea of placebo, and that is a huge factor that is just forgotten about. So I don't even really want to get into why I'm even waffling about this now, but we're talking about purification. So the other interesting thing about February, and actually somewhere down here it says that festival or feast or ritual or whatever or rite, yeah, I've just clicked off of it now, bloody hell, this just annoys me, this bloody 13th shows up a few times for a start date for that. Anyway, whatever. So we've got that thing going on, and that is also kind of ties into another thing, which I don't know if it's up here or not. Yeah, here it is. Lupercalia. Lupercalia, I guess that's how you say that. And that's kind of the same kind of, here we go, yeah, purifications or purgings, you know, I mean, it's the same kind of idea, you know. Interesting, it's the mad dog, the wolf, the mad dog. Backwards is got, the mad dog is the goddamn. So that's out of Back to the Future. A couple of other things that I just want to touch on. So we've done the February thing. One more thing in February before I get off of February. February, yeah, and this idea of the quarter again, right? And oh gosh, I got to go back to Washington as well in a minute. But so this idea of February and the quarter. Where am I going with this? What I'm going to say now? 28 days in February, 29 on a leap year. This is where we add in the one day that is made up of a quarter day, a quarter day, a quarter day, and a quarter day. Every 4 years, the one arrives in February. I mean, it's just another reference. I mean, it's just nuts, isn't it? I mean, you can't write this stuff. So we've got this idea of the one coming out after 4 quarters being added up, right? Okay, I got that one out of the way. Let's go back to Washington, because the days of the year, right? Where is Washington on here? I've got him up here somewhere, because we're going to need to look. We got Washington's birthday, right? Washington's birthday, the 22nd of February. in the new calendar, right? So 222. Remember what I was saying earlier with the 143, the pi number, the dam buster number. So of course it's going to be 2022. That's going to be next year. Super interesting. And if we go to the other calendar, we're on 211, 212. You know, we've got that set of numbers again, which is interesting. Now, the year also changes because of the way the calendar works, and that's to do with the end of the year being the 25th of March. For those of you that don't know, in the Julian calendar. But what's interesting here is, excuse me, is this year date of 1732, because that, I'm like, oh, I've seen that 237 before. You know where I've seen that 237? Gosh, if I could get to it, here it is. That's where I've seen that 237 before. Room 237 out of The Shining. You know, and look at this. I mean, just so happens that we have the green, you know, the green and white of the dollar bill in this room. It's also the green and white of the Matrix. This is why the Matrix is green and white as well. This is why everything to do with the fiction is green and white, because it's the thing that is made from the virgin, from the spirit, from the water, from the blue, yeah, and from the gold. The two things mixed together. I don't know if you did, you know, primary school painting class, but those two things mixed together, blue and yellow, make green. Yeah, and Mother Nature does it with trees. Yeah, this is why trees are green, because they're taking the sunlight and they're taking the water and creating green, right? And this is what man does as well. He takes the gold, and then he puts a fiction over the top of it, of the blue, and then you end up with the green that isn't worth anything. I don't know. I'm just waffling again, but you know, this is the idea of this is the idea of the green, right? This is why green is so important. So I mean, there's just so much to get through here. So let's just go back to there's nothing really more to say about Washington, apart from we've got the year now. And so if you follow along with the other story, which is the Space Odyssey, you know, just talking about The Shining, now we're back to Stanley Kubrick's Space Odyssey, and the first event, the 911 event, the Space Odyssey event. So we're looking for the returning Odysseus, right? Well, it's been 20 years now. Okay, so it couldn't have happened before 9/11, but any time after this last 9/11, we're at 20 years. So now we're over 20 years. So we're overdue, and we're going to be. And in fact, if I'm looking at this right, it'll be 20 years and 5 months and a couple of days and a little bit of change. But basically, we're looking at 20 years and 5 months so 25 again, for Odysseus to return. Again, super interesting. But that still fits in with the 20-year, even though on the calendar it looks like we've gone, it looks like 21 years, and again 21 works, you know, blackjack and all that on the calendar date, but we've only actually really gone 20 years. And we've not quite gone over a half yet, so we've not busted on that either. So it works quite nicely for that time frame, for the 20-year returning of Odysseus. What else did I want to say? And of course the 222 is that number. If we go back to, let's just go back to my chart. I say it's my chart, I don't think it's my chart, I just, you know, whatever. But this date here that I was going on about earlier on in the year, being 5/23, May the 23rd, it's the 143rd day of the year and 222 days left. You know, and that corresponds to, I think it's August the 10th. Super interesting again. Really is super interesting. And I wanted to say there's an interesting way to get back to Jurassic Liars number 84. I think it's a set of pi numbers. I can't remember off the top of my head. I put a comment on his last video about it, but that 84 is in there as well as a reference date. But anyway, that's that 23rd of May right there. Yeah, the 143 that is the combination of 55 and 88. It's the Dam Buster year when they do the Dam Buster raid, which they made a film about as well. Now, I can't remember where I was going with this, to be quite honest. I've lost my train of thought. I guess I'm just going to work through these tabs very, very quickly and hope that I can make some kind of logical sense as we go, right? Let's touch back on the lambda thing, right? I'm going to mention something here. I want to cover this. So this letter, so we've got the V, the upside down V, or the arrowhead. So that's a good reference to everything that's going on with the arrow shooting through the eye of the needle. You know, Cupid's arrow being fired on the 14th of February, and yada yada yada. But this thing is the root of, now let's go down here, is the root of, there's the Spartan symbol, upside down V again. Oh blimmin' hell, like now where was it? Right here. This EI, the other thing you've got to remember is lambda is the I, yeah, in the Greek alphabet. It's the letter I. So it's iamda, okay? Iamda. It's like I am. I am. What's that quote? I think, therefore I am. Something like that. Anyway, this what do you call it? Cyrillic? I don't know how you say that. EI, I'm guessing that is. But there we are. It's like the EL, the L number, and look at it. It's a 31 or a 13. And what does it look like? It looks like pi. Yeah. And so if you go to this, not to be confused with pi, but you know, I mean, all these things, you know, they kind of cross-reference each other very good. There's the phonetic, it's I, yeah, and they've got the same numerical value for it, and it look derived from lambda. So this is interesting, right? And so you have a couple of other letters that look like this. This thing, which is the PE. This thing, the PE, the two thing joined together, like with the Hoover Dam again, with the two towers joined together. I mean, there's double references in there. Numerical value 80, derived from pi. So it's interesting, isn't it, that these two things kind of, I don't know, the PP, the pi, the lambda, the I, they're all kind of interchangeable now. I don't know. Anyway, you'll hear Jurassic Liars go about the PP. He's always going on about that. What else do I want to do? Okay, I don't want to get onto this yet, but hang on a minute. I got to go to this. Right. Now, you remember I did a, just interesting right here in the eyes right now. In the eye, it's telling you what's going to happen to the dollar here. This is iPet Goat. And it says somewhere there, it says dollar plunge. The dollar's going to plunge, yeah? it's probably literally going to plunge. The dollar in value is going to plunge, but the other idea is the one is going to plunge, you know, over the top of the, you know, a bit like Harrison Ford when he jumps off the dam in the what the hell's that bloody show? I can't remember. The one where he's getting chased by Tommy Lee. Gosh, I can't remember what that was. Anyway, don't matter. The Fugitive. Oh, there it comes. Anyway, you remember the Super Bowl this year? I did a video about these planes going over, and in iPet Goat we got these planes flying over, right, doing the flyby. I said, yeah, this is interesting because we're kind of they fly over and then they blow up this thing, this mosque type thing right here, and you get a sort of Statue of Liberty type crown coming off the top of it, and this looks like the kind of the world caving in, the dome caving in, the dam, the dome. That would be our world. You know, it looks a bit like an atlas, doesn't it? A globe. The way it's caving in, so it looks like the world caving in, right? And then this is all in the same few seconds, all around the pi number as well in the video. Let's not forget that. But we have this thing going on right here, which is this is the football, and this is the Super Bowl trophy right here, and here's the little piece that comes up and it holds that football that way, right? And then we've got the three monoliths, as well as in similar to that in David Bowie's Black Star, and well, what we've got is we've got a reference number here, which is 1 1 1, 3 ones. So we've got a 1 and a 3 reference. Yeah, and the only other reference you get is a 2 1 2. So you're kind of limited on the amount of numbers that you can pull from 1 1 1. Okay. Now, so we have an explosion going on here, right? Okay, let's go back. And we had, you remember the dude, what's his name? The Weeknd did the oh bloody, did his little bit, and he in several of his things he's bandaged up, yeah. And this is, you know, of course, this is like Jesus. This is like Lazarus with the bandages as well. So we've got that idea there, right? Let's go back to here. Oh, this moth as well. I don't know if you heard in one of my videos, I referred to that little place where you fold the dollar bill. You know, it looks like the owl on the one spot, right? But when you look at the other spots, it kind of looks like a moth. And this moth to the flame thing, I don't know. Anyway, just another little reference. So that thing comes by, it flies by, and it blows this thing up, right? Look at the timestamp again, 311, right? Now, and it might be back before there, but anyway, we're in that time period, right? So this thing blowing up, we've said before that this looks a bit like the Hagia Sophia, right? That mosque, where is it? You may, if you watch my thumbnails going across here, you may know what I'm going with it. Where the hell is it? I had it up. Oh, this is. I'm sorry. It's so painful when I'm doing this. Here it is. So this thing, this mosque in Turkey, and we just had turkey for Thanksgiving. So another reference back to Turkey. You know, what do I want to say about this, right? Not an awful lot, but there was something interesting about this picture, right? And that is that this is these minarets here, right? We got 1, 2, 3 that are one color, and we got one that's a different color. Looks like it's this one's brick, and then this is like carved stone or something. So I thought that was super interesting because don't remember noticing that before about that building. But so we've got the 4 towers, like at the Hoover Dam. You know, this is the dome, this is the dam, and we've got the 4 towers, the same as this is the clock tower, the back of the White House. This is the temple where we worship the false god. Not that I'm saying that what they're doing here is worshipping a false god. What I'm saying is it's a reference to that idea, right? But these are the 4 pillars that sit at the clock tower. You know, this is the county courthouse, if you like, and these are the 4 towers that sit, in front there, the same as in Back to the Future. Yeah, but we've got one of them that's a different colour. So we've got that 3-1 reference right there. Interesting. The same as we've got on the dollar bill, with this being in a circle, this being in a circle, this being in a circle, and then this not being in a circle. Yeah. I mean, they could have made this. They could have made. I don't know. They could have just made this a square and this a square, and they would have fit together. You know. But they didn't. They chose not to do that, right? And there's a reason why they did that. They're referencing a 3. This is 1, 2, 3, and a 1. They've changed. They're trying to show some meaning there, right? Anyway, so that thing, right, is this thing here. Except we've just got the 1, which I'm not quite sure what that's a reference, whether that's a reference just to the 1 being born or whatever. But anyway, this thing's getting destroyed, right? And it looks a bit like the top of the Statue of Liberty there for a second as well. This thing's getting destroyed. Now, this is the highest. If we say it's the Hagia Sophia, right? And there's something else that's interesting that's going to be happening. You've just seen it there on these holidays, right? Is and we'll come back to the holidays in a minute and go through them. But down here, where was it? Oh, it's right here. Super Bowl Sunday, usually on the first Sunday in February, but the Super Bowl in 2022 will be on the second Sunday. Interesting that they decided to move it for this year. I'm not sure what the reasoning behind that was, but interesting that they've moved it, and it's on February the 13th. And as soon as I saw that, I've kind of gone backwards here, but as soon as I saw that, this sprung to mind in The Dark Knight, where Bane blows up this stadium, right? And what's he done? He's laced the concrete underneath it with explosives. So now we're talking about concrete. What is there in the Hoover Dam? A lot of concrete laced with explosives. Interesting. Here's the 86. Here's the number of man. 2 of the numbers of man there. Here's the thing, and here he is. He survived it. Don't look back. So we've got The Dark Knight Rises, okay, and we'll get to some other references here in a minute, but I just ain't got time to do all these references. So we've got this football reference, right? Why am I thinking about this? Because let's make the connection now, Dan, come on, because people might not have made this connection. This thing here, where the Super Bowl is going to be paid 2022, is, let's find it. It's up here. You've already seen it. Oh, I've got to go through all them here in a minute. It's right here. This is where it's going to be played. The Sophie, the Hagia Sophia. You just can't write this stuff. This is where it's going to be played. I don't know. If something were to kick off, excuse the pun there, but if something was to kick off, and I kept saying this earlier on in my other stuff, the Pepsi halftime show. What is the halftime show? Is it the Hoover Dam blowing up? I don't know. Just nuts, isn't it? This is just absolutely crazy. I know this much. I probably wouldn't, if I had if somebody gave me tickets to go to it. I know them tickets are like 10, 15, 20, 30, whatever, how many thousands of dollars. I I wouldn't go to it. Not this year, anyway. Not next year, I mean. Anyway, who have we got doing the halftime? I thought I'd look that up. Oh, of course. We've got to have a doctor for the birth of man. We've got to have Dr. Dre. Doctor. He's got to be there for the birth of man from the Mary, from the bilge of Mary. Dr. Dre has got to birth the man, and Eminem's got to be there. What's the Eminem? I don't know. Is he the Candyman, or is it just a reference to the Mary again, the Eminem? And we've got Snoop Dogg there as well. I don't know what that means either, but it's a doggy dog world. Kendrick Lamar, and I don't know anything that he's done. Kendrick Lamar. The only thing that springs to mind with Lamar is Truman, Lamar, Missouri, which I have a connection to. Strangely enough, it's actually the first place I ended up in America. So, not the first time I've been to America, but the first place I ended up living in America. So, I don't know, interesting. Nothing but a G thing. Oh, thang, should I say. And also, this cracks me up because this takes me back to those 50 Cent. Because I guess pretty much nearly there's a whole bunch of acts that have come through Dr. Dre, and 50 Cent is one of them. And that brings me back to Go Shorty, It's Your Birthday. Anyway, I want to say about it. Where do I want to go from here? So we've done this. So this link in iPet Go, just to recap, it seems like we have bombs going off. It seems like the dome or the dam or the Sophia is collapsing here, the SoFi, and so we have that reference, you know. Super interesting. Now, what else did I want to go to? Especially with that Bane thing as well. Oh my jeez. The Dark Knight Rises. Okay, we've done that. Oh, the Ever Given gets freed on the 29th, and that is an interesting. I've got it in my thing. We can do an interesting jump back. Can't remember what I did. Oh, yeah, because there's a completion date which is half pi, which is 157, and if we switch them numbers around, we can go back 715 days. No, sorry, scrap that. I'm doing it the wrong way here. I'm looking at something. I'm looking at this wrong. Sorry. The March 29th thing is 321 days away from February the 13th, which is interesting. Again, the 321 number, and that was the Ever Given breaking free from the canal, from the birthing canal. Yeah. So again, that was interesting. Oh, there was something else that I wanted to say was interesting. Oh yeah, with the chart, we want to be interested in. So the number of man here, 18. If we go back 18 days for the birth of man from that date, or if we just go one way 18 days, we actually go back to the 26th of January, which is Kobe's death date. So what I'm trying to say is if the 26th of Jan is the death of Kobe, the death of man, if you like, then we go 18 days on to the rebirth, which is February the 13th. I just thought that's super interesting as well. I don't know what else to say really. St. Patrick's Day, you can get to it 333 days. Another one of those crosses in the Union Jack. Interesting again with the Emerald Isle. Getting rid of all the snakes. I don't know. What other things have I got up here? Because I'm really getting tired. I should have been in bed a long time ago. This Nashville bombing with the AT&T, where that was outside the Batman building. Remember? There was something interesting about that. I had that written down as well. I wasn't really planning on going through this stuff, but where was it? Where was it, Dan? Come on. Oh, I can't find it. Oh, by the way, the 24th, that collapse of the Champlain Towers. If we go 143 days from then, so again the pi numbers, we get to November the 5th, which is the start date for the sequence. So that was interesting as well. Then you go your 100 days to the end of the ritual, if you like. What was I looking at? Nashville bombing. I've got that down here somewhere as well. I can't find it now. I'm sure it was something interesting. Otherwise I wouldn't have. There was something to do with that one. I think it was the 166 or 199 or something. I can't remember. Ay, ay, ay. Sorry. Let's not worry about it. There are some other numbers like I'll tell you the date that I didn't really look up and see what it went to is how many days it was to Independence Day. That may be an interesting set of numbers or may not be. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to get off of that now because I can't find what I was looking for. I was just looking at that May the 12th date as well. When you go back, when you go 88 days, and I forgot to mention Tony Hawk, also born on that day, the skateboarder. Tony Hawk, yes. Okay, I think we've done this to death, but this is, you know, this is your warning, Anthony Warner, on that date. Now, Thomas Edison. What did I want to say about Thomas Edison? Oh, it's just interesting. On Doc's wall, we've got Edison referenced, and it died on the 18th of October. And we also got Benjamin Franklin with the 100 reference, and we also had Einstein, and I know he's born on Pi Day. He's the 14th of March. So I mean, again, with the references, it's just nuts. Valentine, the name. I thought, you know, because of Valentine's Day, the next day, let's look at the name. And this really stood out to me. Valentine Fleming, the father of Ian Fleming, who wrote the James Bond stuff. So we've got this Val reference there. What was the other? Karen Valentine, I don't know, but star of Room 222. So there we're back with another reference to 143. And again, this guy, Scott Valentine, I don't know who he is, but he is connected to family ties. So we're back with Matthew Broderick turning down the job, and Michael J. Fox doing that thing. You know, I don't know. War Games and Back to the Future again. You go around in circles. And then I thought, well, I'll look at some 31 birthdays. Of course, Fistful of Dollars Man. We couldn't have a better reference to the dollar. I think that's the intention with Clint Eastwood. He also plays the righteous man in most of his films. The 31st of May. So another good reference date. So I mean, I'm just, you know, of course, the Hoover Dam started in 31. You know. J.K. Rowling. We've got Harry Potter now, the 31st of July. We've got Diana dying on the 31st of August. We've got famous birthdays, December the 31st. We've got Val Kilmer. I just thought that was interesting because there's a reference back to the Wingman here in a minute, and of course Batman as well. You know, we've got John Denver. We've got that Colorado reference. We've got a Korean reference here, Gangnam Style or whatever the hell that thing was. We've got a Gandhi reference. We've got Alex Ferguson. We've got Man United. We've got the Red Devils. I mean, we've got that. What do they hold? The fork. The Guy Fawkes. I mean, you just can't write this stuff. We've got, oh, look, here we go. We've got Anthony Hopkins. We've got Silence of the Lambda. He's Welsh. Great. Donna Summer. Oh, it's just, I mean, it's just absolutely crazy. Who else is in here? I don't know any of these other people. Oh, a Mulholland. No doubt we had to have a Mulholland in there. You'll know the reference to Mulholland and dams if you've watched my other stuff. What else we got? Oh, I don't know. I can't be bothered with it. Oh dear, oh dear. So I don't really want to do Val Kilmer. Oh, this was another interesting 31 reference. December the 31st, Commodus is assassinated in the bathroom. So we've got the reference to the commode and the toilet and all this stuff with Elvis on the pot as well. It's just nuts. And there's a ton of January the 31st references as well, which actually I don't have up here. That's a job for another day. And of course the famous January the one that we're really looking at here is this guy dying on the Guy Fawkes dying, you know. Oh, here was some images of the so this SoFi Stadium. I'm not done with it yet. So here's an image of it, and you know, when you first look at it, it kind of looks like, to me, it kind of looks like an eagle eye or something. You know, you could imagine like a beak coming down here, and this is kind of. But anyway, that's what it kind of looks like. But I'll tell you what it is, what I think it is, because there was another thing that sprung to mind when I saw that, which was this thing, the axe head. And we're back to the Odysseus ritual, and it especially looks like a fire axe head because it's got this bit coming off the back. Yeah, this would be the pick part at the back. This here, you see how this widens here, and we have this reference to the hole here with the circle here. So this is referencing an eye right here, and this is the face. You know, this is the sharp end of the axe here. You know. And this is what Odysseus has to shoot through. Absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts, that is. I'll tell you what, when I was looking at that, I'm like, here's Johnny. Here he is. Here he is. He's breaking into the bathroom. It's not room 237. But anyway, you know, he just can't write this stuff. Here's Johnny. Here's Johnny. Hang on a minute. What was we saying about Guy Fawkes earlier? John Johnson. Here's Johnny. I mean, you just can't write this stuff. And this dude is referenced everywhere as David Bowie. I'm Afraid of Americans. This whole video, I have to do a video on sometime. It's a reference to it, and here he is again, Guy Fawkes. V for Vendetta. You know, what do you say? What do you say? This thing here, the goatee, yeah, is kind of like an arrow. Remember, this is the lips, the Dua Lipa, yeah, the 11, and here's the arrow. You know, I mean, I don't know what to say about it. It's like, am I reaching? Is it so obvious that that's what it could be? You know, this idea of the, you know, this is in several, you know, this image is in several other videos. that Sade or whatever the hell Matt on Quantum Conscience goes on about, that video, he's in that as well. Oh look, here we go. We've got the Guy Fawkes again here referenced. We've got Halloween referenced right here. You know, the 216 is referenced in this, yeah, and that 216, you know, with 3 days difference, yeah, or if you want to count the day as well, 13, 14, 15, 16 with 4 days difference, depending on how you want to look at it. And again, being 4 days off, we'd start thinking of Lazarus again. You know, this is the 31st of October, if you like, here, with the ghoulish thing. Look, here he is, Johnny carrying the cross. I don't know. I mean, what more can I say? I don't know. There was something interesting about this Valentine's Day thing as well. Well, I wonder if I'd sit. No, I actually wanted. Where would that be? Anyway, there's also a Cupid. There's a Cupid reference in Back to the Future as well. When he's going around the square, there's a store there. It says Cupid something or other. I've talked about that before, being in there. I don't know what else to say. I think I've gone all way around it all now. The only thing I will say is that with there's a relic of St. Valentine's. It's basically his skull, and it kind of reminded me of the David Bowie thing. I don't see it anywhere. St. Valentine's Day. What's this here? Oh, it's a recording. I don't want that. Bing Crosby. Nice. I want to go back. But anyway, I think I got to leave it there. I think that's the end of it all. I'm trying to think. History. Let me click on this a minute and just see if I can find that picture, that image of that skull. There it is. This is, when I saw that, I'm like, oh, that reminds me of the. Oh, my throat's really starting to hurt now from talking so much, but that really reminds me of the bit in Black Star when they're when they're returning the skull back to restart the cycle. I mean, it just. Anyway, I guess I'm going to leave it at that. But of course, the Rose reference. I don't know what to say. You know, the re-emergence of the Rose. The Rose is a reference to the female genitalia. Is a reference to the heart. And we have that. I don't know. I'll leave it at that. It's just, you know, the references are just nuts. And I've kind of lost my complete train of thought now. I don't think there's anything else I wanted to say about it. I'm just trying to think what I've missed. Pretty much covered all the subtractions and that. There's a ton more subtractions. I'll tell you what I didn't do. No, I did miss something. Look. Sorry, beg your pardon. Here, I didn't go through the supposed holidays for this day, right? Autism Sunday. I kind of think of Rain Man and that idea of being in the casinos there. Desperation Day. Well, that says it all. Dream Your Sweet Dream Day. Yeah, okay. Employee Legal Awareness Day. It's funny with these days, you can kind of do it on every day of the year. You can make a case for, but becoming aware of the legal system is really what people need to do. It's actually, yeah, it's something that's incredibly important, because that's the thing that's controlling you, the legal system. It's the matrix. Get a different name day. Again, we're talking legal stuff here again. This is interesting. International Condom Day. Lordy Lord. The con of the dom. The dome. The condome. I don't know. International Natural Day. Yeah, that's what people need to become, is more natural. Kiss Day. X marks the spot. That reminds me of noughts and crosses. Tic-tac-toe. You see that in the back of that David Bowie in the attic. They have the tic-tac-toe, and if you look at the this thing as well, look, we've got the tic-tac-toe here as well. Noughts and crosses. We've got 3 going across diagonally there. Just, you know, absolutely nuts. And of course that references back to war games. What else have we got? Madly in love with me day. Okay, Man Day. Great, love it. National Breakup with Your Carrier Day. Oh, that's interesting. That's what being birthed is, breaking up with your carrier. Cheddar Day. I can't think of anything to do with the cheddar. The only thing that I can think, I don't know if it's got to do with cheddar though, is in England somewhere, I don't know if it's cheddar or somewhere else, they roll cheeses down the side of a hill, and they kind of chase after them and roll down the hill. I don't know if, you know, it's a bit like Jack and Jill, you know, rolling down the hill, coming down the, you know, coming down, falling. I don't know. That's a bit of a stretch. There's probably a better thing. Crab Rangoon Day. I mean, I can't do anything with that. National Internet Friends Day. Can't really do much with that. Or Tortellini Day. I can't know. But National Wingman's Day, when we were just talking about Val Kilmer, and I think they put the. I don't think it's come out yet, but Maverick, I think, is coming out. They've delayed it till 2022. So whether that'll even make it into the cinema, I don't know. What? Self-Love Day, great. World Marriage Day, yes, because this ties back in with White Wedding, and there was something about St. Valentine when doing marriages for soldiers that didn't want to wanted to, I don't know, something about doing marriages for soldiers, maybe to get out of doing service in the Roman army or something. But that's interesting, because it's a nice day for a white wedding, you know. Billy Idol's Restart Day. 3-1 is referenced in there in a couple of spots. I'll let you find, well, I'll tell you one of them and then you can find the other one. Actually, I'll tell you the 2 obvious ones because they're really obvious. You probably already know them. The nails in the coffin and the gurney. That gurney shows up in one of Madonna's halftime videos as well, which is interesting. What else we got? And I say the gurney shows up, it's the stage that she's on. World Radio Day, can't do much with that. Radio killed the video. Oh, video killed the radio star. I think that's it. Yeah, I can't think of. There's nothing else that springs to mind. The only thing that springs to mind is what was that one with the Asperger's? What was that show? Boston Legal. Springs to mind. And of course that had Michael J. Fox in it and Captain Kirk. So I don't know. And that's was it Denny Crane? The crane delivering, and there's Michael J. Fox in it, the boy. I got, you know, I don't know what else to say. That's it. Video done. Probably an hour and a half long. Nobody will want to watch this. Way too long. I just don't want to miss anything off and be like, oh, bugger that. I missed something there. No, that's it. I love the reference to the John, you know. All this reference to the toilet. The John. And of course, let me just, because if you haven't watched my other videos, you know, Johnny is the Jones, is the one. Yeah? That is why Johnny, you know, here's Johnny, here's the one. You know? I gotta leave it at that, I think. I think I've done everything. I'm literally just trying to think through my head now if I've done it. Yeah, I've done everything. Alright. Cheers. Please leave a comment. That way I know that, maybe I know that the video is actually getting out there a little bit, because otherwise it's just like, I don't even know if, you know, whether this stuff makes it out there or not, whether YouTube blocks it or what. I don't know. Anyway, alright. Appreciate you watching and have a good one. Alright, bye.